Have you ever looked into someone's eyes right after sharing good news and caught that flash? The smile that's just a little too stiff. The congratulations that land a little too flat. It's subtle. It's slippery, but make no mistake, you just felt jealousy. Jealousy isn't always loud. It doesn't always slap you in the face. It slides in quietly, wrapped in compliments, disguised as concern, hidden inside advice you never asked for. And here's the hard truth. The people clapping for you the loudest might be the ones hoping you trip. That's the paradox of success. When you rise, you force others to see where they've stayed small. When you win, you shine a light on what they've left undone. And not everyone can stand in that light without flinching. The Stoics saw this game centuries ago. Marcus Aurelius said, "Don't waste your time in anger at the misbehaving of others. Approach them like a doctor treats a patient." Jealousy is a sickness, but it's their sickness, not yours to cure. Your job isn't to fix their insecurity. It's to walk your path, head high, unbothered. But here's the challenge. Jealousy rarely announces itself. It whispers. It camouflages. It waits for a crack in your confidence. So, how do you spot it before it sinks its teeth in? How do you hold the line when the people around you? Start mixing support with sabotage. That's what we're diving into today. We're about to break down the masks jealousy wears, and I'll show you how to stay calm, sharp, and untouchable through it all. Because once you understand the game, you stop playing defense. The masks of jealousy, when sweet turns poisonous. They say people will show you who they are, but jealousy rarely does. Jealousy doesn't burst into your life with flashing lights. It doesn't announce itself at the door. It slips in quietly, wearing a polite smile, wrapped in a laugh, camouflaged as care. And the moment you start to shine, when you land that long-awaited promotion, get into the best shape of your life, buy your first car, launch your dream project, or fall into a love that makes you glow, it leans in closer, almost like it wants a front row seat. But here's the kicker. Jealousy rarely stays quiet for long. At first you hear whispers, little echoes, half-heard sentences in the hallway, a strange glance across the room, a shift in tone you can't quite explain. And then the realization hits. They've been talking about you. Without your consent, you've become the lead in their private soap opera, the subject of quiet speculation, the headline in a story you never agreed to star in. She got that promotion, but you know, she probably knew someone. He's doing well, but let's see how long that lasts. Jealousy loves an audience. It feeds on shared judgment, thrives in hushed conversations, and craves co-conspirators, because envy by itself is heavy, but envy shared, that's addictive. And just when you think it's safe, when you brush off the whispers, it shifts form. It moves into the room with you. It pulls up a chair next to you, and it wraps itself in humor. You walk in glowing, excited to share good news, and suddenly, the joke. Careful, superstar. Don't let that ego get too big. Oh, look at you, fancy car owner. Must be nice. Mr. World Traveler over here. Slow down, will you? And you laugh, because what else do you do in that moment? You play along, wave it off, because that's the unspoken price of being liked. But here's the part no one talks about. Later, when the room is empty, and the lights are off, those words echo. They wrap around your thoughts like vines, and you start to wonder, were they really just teasing? Or was that a jab? Did they mean it? Am I becoming too much? Jealousy is cunning. It doesn't need to cut you with a knife. It just needs to plant doubt. It's not about breaking you in one blow. It's about soft erosion, small cracks, in your sense of worth. But jealousy doesn't stop there. It knows your past. Oh, it knows your past. It carries a mental scrapbook of your old failures, your past mistakes, your awkward stumbles. So when you rise, when you start moving into a new version of yourself, it reminds you, I remember when you flunked that test. Didn't you once crash that interview? Wow, funny coming from the person who couldn't even handle X back then. This isn't about keeping you humble. This is about keeping you small. Because here's what they're really saying. Don't fly too high. I'm more comfortable with you on the ground. And the painful truth? The people who remind you the most of your past are often the ones most terrified of your future. Why? Because every step forward you take forces them to confront their own standing still. The Stoics understood this dynamic deeply. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Don't waste the rest of your time here, worrying about what other people think, unless those people are models of a virtuous life." Translation: if they're not living with wisdom, courage, or integrity, why on earth are you carrying their opinion like it's gold? But here's where it gets tricky. Jealousy, left unchecked, doesn't just stay external, it moves inward. First, it whispers in the hallways, then it laughs in the room. And slowly, it enters your mind. You begin editing yourself. You shrink your wins. You soften your light. You hesitate to speak up, hold back the dream, pretend the good news isn't that big of a deal. Why? Because you've absorbed the mask. Jealousy isn't just their struggle now, it's become your weight. You carry it in your shoulders, your posture, your tone. You start apologizing for outgrowing the box they put you in. And this is when jealousy becomes truly dangerous. Because now, it's not just about what they say, it's about what you believe. So how do we break the cycle? The Stoic answer isn't cold indifference, it's sharp awareness. It's walking into a room, feeling the tension, hearing the offhand comments, and instead of bending or breaking, you stand still. You see it for what it is. Ah, there's the joke designed to shrink me. There's the reminder of my past. There's the gossip trail trying to pull me down. And you don't flinch. You don't need to argue. You don't need to explain. You certainly don't need to dull your shine. Because here's the truth they don't want you to realize. Jealousy only sticks. When you hand it your power, you're not responsible for managing other people's insecurities. You're not required to tiptoe through your own life, just so they feel more comfortable in theirs. And most importantly, you're not obligated to carry the version of you they're most comfortable with, because they're clinging to who you were. But you're busy becoming. So the next time you walk into a room and feel the temperature shift, the next time the jokes land too sharp, the next time your past gets dragged out like an old trophy, remember this: you are not here to fit inside their comfort zone. You are here to live, to grow, to stretch into the biggest, boldest version of yourself. And if that rattles them, good. That's their invitation to rise, not your cue to shrink. Now, what happens when jealousy stops lurking in the shadows and starts following you, mimicking you, competing with you, turning your life into their battleground? Let's go there. Jealousy in action, when admiration turns into obsession. Jealousy rarely stays quiet. It doesn't just admire you from a distance. It wants to get close, to follow you, to walk next to you, and sometimes to race ahead of you. At first, it feels nice. You hear compliments like, "Where'd you get that jacket? I love how you explain things. You're so confident. You have such a cool vibe lately." And naturally, you feel good about it. We all like to be admired. It's human. But slowly, something shifts. One day, they're wearing the same jacket. A week later, they're using your favorite phrases. A month later, they're picking up your hobbies, listening to your favorite music, posting the same kinds of photos on social media. And that's when you realize they're not just inspired by you, they're trying to be you. I once had a co-worker who started like that. First, she complimented my outfits. Then, she asked where I shopped. A few weeks later, same blazer, same hairstyle. In meetings, she began using the same jokes I did. And the best part? Her Instagram started looking like mine. Same coffee shop photos, same workout selfies, same captions. At first, it was funny. I even joked to friends, "I've got a mini-me at work." But over time, it became uncomfortable. I felt like I was watching a knockoff version of myself. Here's the truth about copycats. They don't just admire you. They're often lost in who they are. And instead of figuring out their own style, their own voice, their own dreams, they take shortcuts by borrowing yours. But what they miss is this. You can copy the look, you can copy the words, but you can't copy the heart behind it. You can't clone the hard work, the failures, the lessons, or the late nights. That shaped the person you've become. That's why imitation always falls flat. It copies the surface dash, but it can't touch the soul. But jealousy doesn't stop at copying. It levels up dash into competition. Suddenly, everything you say becomes something they have to beat. You share, "I got a promotion," and they reply, "Oh yeah? I got 2 raises this year." You mention, "I ran a 10K last weekend," and they go, "That's great, I'm doing a marathon soon." You post about your new apartment, and they drop a tour of their remodeled house on their feed the next day. What's happening here is simple. They've stopped listening to celebrate you. Now they're listening to measure themselves against you. It's no longer, "I'm happy for you." It's, "I need to prove I'm ahead of you." And the sad part? The more you win, the more stressed they get. Because every time you shine, they're forced to look at their own choices, their own missed chances, and their own fears of falling behind. Seneca, one of the great Stoic thinkers, put it perfectly, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." Jealous people aren't angry at you. They're frustrated with themselves for wasting time, for holding back, for watching life go by while you moved forward. But here's the tricky part. If you're not careful, you can get pulled into their game. You start second-guessing yourself. Maybe I should hold back on sharing this. Maybe I should keep this win quiet. Or worse, you start competing back. Suddenly, you're not living for your dreams. You're living to stay one step ahead of them. And that's the trap. Because the moment you turn your focus to their scoreboard, you've already lost your center. The Stoic way is simple and powerful. Step out of the game. When someone copies you, let them. They're trying to fill their own emptiness, not take anything real from you. When someone competes with you, let them wear themselves out. You don't have to prove anything. You don't have to run a race you never signed up for. Your only competition is the person you were yesterday. And here's the quiet truth. People who are busy copying or competing are too distracted to do the real work of becoming themselves. The most powerful thing you can do? Stay focused, stay authentic, keep moving forward without needing to glance sideways. Because here's the secret they don't know. Even if they copy every single thing about you, they can't copy your essence. They can't steal your mindset, your heart, your drive, your story. They can copy the look, but they can't copy the light. And when you know that, you become untouchable. But jealousy isn't done yet, because sometimes it doesn't just show up in what people do, it starts showing up in what they say. And worse, in what they try to make you believe about yourself. That's where we're headed next. Because the most dangerous jealousy isn't the one that copies you or races you. It's the one that quietly sneaks into your mind and makes you doubt who you are. Reflecting fear. When they project their insecurities onto you. Jealousy has many faces. Sometimes it's loud and obvious. Sometimes it copies. Sometimes it competes. But one of the most dangerous forms is the one that comes disguised as care. It sounds like love. It sounds like concern. But underneath, it's fear. And not yours. Theirs. This is called projection. You tell someone, "I'm thinking about switching careers. I've always dreamed of doing something creative." And they tilt their head, give you a tight smile, and say, "Are you sure? Don't throw away something stable. You're lucky to have what you have." At first you think, "Wow, they care about me." But as you walk away, their words echo in your mind. Are you sure? What if you fail? What if it's a mistake? And here's the secret they won't tell you. Those questions aren't really about you. They're about them. They're not worried about your leap. They're haunted by the leaps they never took. They're not anxious about your risks. They're still wrestling with the risks they were too scared to face. They're not protecting you from regret. They're drowning in their own. It's like standing at the edge of a pool, ready to dive, and hearing someone on the sidelines yelling, "Be careful, it's too deep." But they've never been in the water. They're just scared to get wet. I remember telling a friend once, "I'm going to start a side business. It's small now, but it lights me up." And immediately, "Do you really want that stress? Why not just enjoy your weekends? What if it fails and you lose money?" For days, I kept wondering, am I reckless? Am I chasing something pointless? Then one day, it hit me. This wasn't about me. This was about them. They had once dreamed of starting something. They had once imagined breaking free, but they never did. So my leap was a painful reminder of their standing still. That's what projection does. It takes their doubt, their insecurity, their unfinished dreams, and it hands them to you, like a gift you never asked for. But here's the Stoic truth. You can't control what people throw at you. You can only control what you choose to carry. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." You can't stop people from projecting, but you can stop accepting their projections as your truth. When someone says, "Are you sure you're ready for that?" Pause and ask, "Is this their fear or mine?" When someone warns, "What if you fail?" Remind yourself, failure is only fatal if I stop getting back up. When someone questions, "Why can't you just be satisfied?" Tell yourself, growth isn't ingratitude, it's the natural rhythm of life. Here's the beauty of Stoic thinking. You don't need to get angry at them. You don't need to argue. You don't even need to explain yourself. You just need to know what belongs to you and what belongs to them. Their fear, theirs. Their doubt, theirs. Their anxiety, theirs. Your path, your passion, your choices, those are yours to carry. But here's where it gets even deeper. Sometimes the people projecting onto you aren't bad people. They're not trying to hurt you. They may even love you deeply. A parent who worries you'll get hurt. A friend who's scared you'll outgrow them. A partner who fears they'll be left behind. And that's why it's so hard. Because it's easy to brush off jealousy from strangers. It's much harder when it comes from people you love. But here's the hard truth. Even love doesn't give someone the right to shrink your dreams. Even care doesn't give someone the right to dim your light. And even fear. Their fear doesn't have to become your chain. The next time you hear a voice telling you, don't go for it, be careful. Stay where it's safe. Pause. Look at where that voice is coming from. Look at the life it's coming from. And ask yourself, is this my path? Or is this their fear trying to walk on my path? Because the moment you can tell the difference, you set yourself free. So what do we do? When we recognize all these signs, how do we protect ourselves from being dragged into jealousy, doubt, and the emotional storms of others? The answer isn't about controlling them. It's about mastering ourselves. And that's where Stoic philosophy gives us one of the most powerful gifts of all. Becoming unshakable, the version of you that no one can touch. There's a moment, if you pay close attention, when you realize you've been making yourself smaller. Maybe it's when you hold back from sharing your excitement because you don't want to make anyone jealous. Maybe it's when you downplay your success because you're afraid of standing out too much. Maybe it's when you silence your dreams because someone once told you you were too ambitious, too intense, or too much. And in that moment, you have a choice. Keep shrinking to fit the room, or become the person you were always meant to be. Here's the truth. You don't owe anyone a smaller version of yourself just to keep the peace. You were not put on this earth to play small so others could stay comfortable. And the most beautiful part? When you stand in your full light, you don't just set yourself free. You give silent permission to everyone watching to do the same. But let's be real. Standing tall in your own power isn't easy. It comes with whispers behind your back. It comes with side glances, subtle jabs, and people trying to pull you back into the familiar box they're used to seeing you in. So how do you rise without losing your peace? It starts with one quiet shift inside you. You stop asking for permission. You stop waiting for the green light to be brilliant, to be bold, to live fully. Instead, you remind yourself, no one can give you that permission but you. The people you surround yourself with matter too. Not everyone gets a seat at your table. Some people drain you, while others light you up. Some cheer when you win, and some fall silent. Choose your people wisely. Keep the ones who clap when you rise, who remind you who you are when you forget, who challenge you to grow without cutting you down. But even then, even with the right people, there's something deeper. You have to become your own anchor. You have to be the one who knows your worth, even when no one's clapping, the one who keeps moving forward, even when the room goes quiet, the one who stays calm when someone tries to rattle your peace. The Stoics called this inner fortress. It's the calm you carry inside, that no praise can inflate, no insult can deflate. You don't need to fight every battle. You don't need to prove your worth to anyone. Your life speaks louder than your words. When someone gossips, let them. When someone competes, step aside. When someone projects their fear onto you, smile gently and keep walking. The moment you stop getting pulled into their storms, you become untouchable. And here's the beautiful paradox. By living fully, by shining unapologetically, by refusing to shrink, you become a lighthouse. You stand as quiet proof that it's possible to rise, to thrive, and to keep your heart intact. And you know what? Some people will hate that, but some Some will see you and whisper to themselves, maybe I can do it too. So, here's what I want to ask you. In the comments, tell me, have you ever dealt with someone who copied you, competed with you, or tried to pull you down with their fears? And more importantly, how did you reclaim your space, your voice, your light? Your story might be exactly the spark someone else needs today. As you walk away from this video, carry this with you. You don't need anyone's permission to be brilliant. You don't need to apologize for wanting more. You don't need to shrink so others can stay small. You are allowed to shine, to grow, to outgrow, to become the biggest, boldest version of yourself. And when you stand tall, you become a quiet invitation. To everyone watching, you can rise too. So keep going, keep becoming, keep showing up, not for the applause, but because it's who you are. Because when you stand, unapologetically, unshakably, you remind the world that they can too.